Okay guys, I just got back from seeing the new Crow movie, so here we go. Here's my review. So if you haven't seen the movie and you plan on seeing it and you do not want to be spoiled, there's going to be spoilers through this review. So spoilers, if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch any further. And I'm probably going to ramble on because I have ADHD and it's hard to stay on topic, so bear with me. There's a lot to talk about. So first off, this was not that bad of a movie. Coming from me, one of the biggest Crow fans of the novel, movie, or whatever, this wasn't that bad. It was nowhere near perfect. The first film with Brandon Lee was almost a masterpiece, if not a masterpiece. This film wasn't the train wreck that people are making it out to be, but in this style or genre, you know, this is kind of an underground comic. You know, a lot of people didn't know about this. In that community, people like to be what I call coolsters, and they're against the mainstream. So if they make a movie based on something like this, they're going to say it's terrible. Is this movie terrible? No, I do not think so. Could it be better? 1000%. So if you go into this movie comparing it to the Brandon Lee movie, you're going to think this is a dumpster fire. I can go ahead and tell you. It is going to be a terrible movie if you're comparing it to the Brandon Lee movie. You have to think about the source material that the Brandon Lee movie and this movie came from, which is the graphic novel. Is this movie a direct correlation of the graphic novel? No, absolutely not. Does it pull elements? Sure it does. There's pros and cons. The cons, like most people, it takes way too long for the action to happen, for the Crow to appear basically, or him to be turned into the Crow. The reasoning is, in the first film, they're a couple, they're about to get married, they're murdered right in the beginning of the movie. He immediately comes back from the dead, immediately. This film, it shows you they're strangers, they meet, they fall in love, and there's a build-up. So that's why it takes about an hour for him to become the Crow, for them to get murdered or whatever. Which I'm okay with. But I don't know, they should have just stuck to the simple basics of the first film. Just have it implied that they're a couple, they go out, the car breaks down, it's some random murder, and boom. So the pros are, when the action happens, it is very, very, very close to the source material of the graphic novel. On the back of it here, that's literally what you get in this movie. Except he has a trench coat, obviously. You literally get this. So I was pretty happy with that. And honestly, 10 seconds into the movie, right when the movie first starts, they pull from the source material of the comic. This is literally in the movie, this scene. Sort of. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. And in this same scene, they also add a scene, basically Eric is a child, and it is directly 100,000% pulled from the Brandon Lee movie. It's like an Easter egg for the Brandon Lee movie. They added it in there. And if you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, this wasn't a dumpster fire that they think it is. If you're comparing it to the Brandon Lee movie, yes, it is. Like I say, I'm not an expert, but I met the creator of the Crow, and this is some artwork I had framed after I met him. Damn reflection. But honestly, Bill Skarsgård, I'm probably butchering his name, he actually has this physique in the movie. They did a pretty good job making him look exactly like the character does in the graphic novel. And of course I have this. So I'm a pretty huge Crow dork, and I've had this graphic novel since I bought it off the shelf 30 plus years ago, over 30 years ago. So if anybody's going to judge this movie, it's going to be me, and all my friends know this. So yeah, this wasn't that bad of a movie. I hate to say that. I'm telling you, I kind of went into this movie thinking, this is going to be terrible. What's the point of even seeing this movie? It's sacrilegious to even make another Crow movie. Brandon Lee's is the only movie. Yes, I sort of feel that way. But this was basically a retelling of the graphic novel. It's had nothing to do with the Brandon Lee movie. I wish they had more elements from the graphic novel in this movie. Like his god in this movie should have been the god he had in the graphic novel. Basically, it's a skull cowboy. Basically, it's a skeleton cowboy. He is sort of Eric's god between the afterworld, afterlife, and the real world. He basically tells Eric what to do. And I kind of wish they would have made the Crow talk to him, kind of, I mean, like they did in a graphic novel. Pretty much, hey, don't do that. You need to stay on target, stay on plan. Don't divert and do something else. Let's see what else. ADHD kicking in. I didn't like the fact that they made them, Eric and Shelley, drug users, which I'm not judging anybody. If somebody's an addict, I'm not judging them, I'm putting them down. But James O'Barr, the creator of The Crow, his fiance was killed by a drunk driver, and that's how he got some of the inspiration for the book. You know, he was pissed off and wanted justice done. And it's kind of odd that they make the main characters drug users when his fiance was killed by a drunk driver, which alcohol technically is a drug. Just doesn't matter how you look at it. Technically it's a drug. So I thought that was kind of weird. And even when they get out, they meet in a drug rehab facility, which I was like, I don't know, that's kind of odd to me. And then even when they get out of the rehab facility, Eric and Shelley are doing drugs together. You know, they're like happy-go-lucky, they're falling in love or whatever. Another thing I didn't really care for was the main villain. The main villain, they made him have these supernatural, he's in league with the devil or whatever. I thought that was kind of odd, which I know what you're saying. Clint, is it not supernatural that somebody comes back from the dead and gets revenge? Yes, that's supernatural. But I wish they'd have made it just regular criminals, you know, a gang, just like in the graphic novel. It's just random murder. Basically, they murder Eric and Shelley because Shelley was in cahoots with the villains in this movie, or the villain. Basically, he has the power to get in your head and possess you to kill people or kill yourself, actually. So she was hiding from that, and once they found out she had evidence against them, they pretty much put a hit out on her and Eric both. So I thought that was kind of odd. I wish they'd have left it just random, because once again, James O'Barr, his inspiration for the comic was obituaries. He was from a bad city, a rough neighborhood, and in the obituaries he would see all the time where somebody's been murdered, a couple's been murdered for no reason, no rhyme or reason, just minding their business, robbed and murdered. That's what this should have been. You know, I hate they kind of had I don't know, they got a little too creative with Shelley having the dirt on the bad guy, so they go murder her to shut her up. Now let's see what else. He looked okay. He actually looks, I mean, he looks like this. A lot of people got pissed off and up in arms because he has a mullet. Well, guess what? He has a mullet in the comic book. This was made a long time ago when mullets were cool, you know. Let's see, yeah. And this brings me to another pro. The ending of the movie, when he goes on ballistic on these people, it's literally this scene. In a way, it's very graphic, very gory. very gory. And that's exactly what the graphic novel was at the end, gory, all throughout the graphic novel. When he's getting his revenge, it's graphic. It's not just, oh, I'm going to stab you with a sword one time. No, it's, I'm chopping both your legs off, chopping arms off, I'm chopping your head off. It's sending a message. So they stuck with that. That was good. What else? The soundtrack. The soundtrack was a big one for me. I said, please, if y'all screw this soundtrack up, I'm telling you, you're going to ruin the movie. And it's not the best, but it's pretty good. It's not as good as the first film, but they did actually put one of the bands that actually influenced, once again, I hate to bring it up, but I keep holding this up, the actual graphic novel. James O'Barr was listening to these bands, Joy Division, The Cure, when he wrote this. You know, he was pretty much into the goth scene. So they actually put Joy Division, a song on there, and they actually put Gary Newman, and it's old Gary Newman, and it kind of fits, because old Gary Newman and Joy Division is sort of similar. Gary Newman's sort of more new wave. And they also put Enya, which I was like, Enya? But then I was like, oh, I bet they're going to use this song, and they did. And I actually told Bridget halfway through the movie, I said, I bet you when he turns into the Crow and he puts his makeup on, they're going to use that Enya song. And they did. And it fit perfect in my opinion. Let's see. Music was good. They didn't screw that up. Let's see. What else? Yeah, the makeup looks good. I mean, it's not 100% like, you know, the Tragedy Mask or whatever like the first one, but it's good enough. When you look at it, if you're not nitpicking it, when it shows certain angles, it looks, I mean, you get this basically. This is basically what you get. So if you go into this movie nitpicking it, assuming it's going to be a dumpster fire, you're going to think it's a dumpster fire. To sum it up, I wish they wouldn't have had a backstory, shown us the backstory. They should have just kept it flashbacks. They shouldn't have had an hour build up, getting to know them, the characters. It should have been day one, happy-go-lucky, and then they get murdered. And they shouldn't have got all complicated with the main villain being like in the voodoo or whatever. But other than that, it was a decent movie, guys. If I say it wasn't that bad, it really wasn't that bad. If you have no knowledge of the graphic novel, if you're not a nerd like me, and you did not watch the Brandon Lee movie, you're going to love this movie, I promise you. You're going to think it's a cool movie, especially younger people. And of course, I went in there representing with the Crow shirt I made. These are just sections that I drew from the graphic novel, and I added a couple quotes that I love, and I put it on the shirt. So nobody has a shirt but me, but nobody knew what the hell it was, and I wore it in there though. It's kind of like those memes, and you go up to the counter and you say, 1 ticket please, and they say, for what movie? Hello. And there was like 4 people in there. There wasn't that many people in to see this movie, but I don't know. I know a lot of my friends have been waiting on me to review this movie, and I think you guys are probably on the same page with me. Once you see it, you're going to see that it's really not that bad of a movie. It could have been a lot better. I mean, a lot better. Let's see what else. I didn't really care for the ending, where basically Eric, he comes back as the Crow, sort of, and then he gets killed again, and for a split second, his God, angel, whatever you're going to call it, in the afterlife, pretty much says, well, if you had your chance, you blew it. For a microsecond, you hesitated your love for her, and because of that, you're mortal now, and you're dead again. And he was like, no, just because I found out her past doesn't mean I don't love her. So then he makes a deal. Look, if I go back, send me back, I have revenge, kill all these people, will that bring her back where she's at? And he says, yes, but once you go down this road, you can't come back. So he says that's fine. So ultimately, at the end of the movie, guys, Shelley comes back to life, and Eric just chills in the afterlife for eternity, which I thought that was really weird. So basically, she may go hook up with some guy now. I don't know. I mean, yeah, no, it's true love. She's not going to move on from Eric, blah, 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 blah. But I wish they'd have stuck to the original idea of they're both murdered. He comes back. When he's finished with his business, he goes back, and they live happily ever after in the afterlife. But he made a deal. She comes back to life, and he's stuck wandering for all eternity in the afterlife. And it almost hints at a sequel, in my opinion, which I don't know how they would do that, because the whole point of the Crow character is you come back for your person. You're enacting revenge. So unless that was why they brought her back, she can get killed again, and then he can come back. I don't know. Because Brandon Lee was actually signed on to do 4 movies. And they made 4 Crow movies, but the first one was masterpiece. Second one, the second Crow movie wasn't that bad, y'all. City of Angels, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It was pretty good, because it's a separate movie. It's not the same character. Him and his son get killed. And third movie, I didn't like the third movie the way it looked, but overall it wasn't terrible. Fourth movie, Wicked Prayer, is absolute garbage. Garbage. It's like it's unwatchable. You cannot watch that movie. It's that bad. And people are comparing this movie like that. They act like this movie is not watchable. This movie is 100% watchable, I promise you. If you say it's like a dumpster fire, you're probably just saying that to look cool, to get cool points. So yeah, go see it, see what you think. Don't take my word for it.